writing is coming along well, I would strongly encourage you to spend some time at home. If you'll look up at the homework board, working on your Latin myth, okay? But what is coming up is a sentence structure quiz on Friday. So we're gonna spend a little time on grammar tomorrow. By Friday, you're gonna take a quiz and then you're gonna spend the rest of the class editing your paper. So how many people are still writing? Like you're still writing the story, okay. So your top priority is to finish your story as soon as you can. But what I'm going over today and what I went over yesterday are ways that you can enhance your story, ways that you can edit. So today, I'm gonna go over this, but I know some of you are still writing your story. Catherine?
Volleyball, we get out at 12:45 on Friday. So we'll skip your whole class.
Yes. Okay, that's good to know, and we'll just reschedule that, okay? You'll probably have that on Monday. Okay, guys, writing dialogue in a short story. Ben, can you read those first 5 points?
Indent whenever the speaker...
Follow along.
Number 1, indent whenever the speaker changes. Number 2, place punctuation marks inside of the quotation marks. Number 3, be clear about who is speaking. Number 4, use dialogue to reveal qualities about your characters. Number 5, use dialogue to break up the narrative of your story.
Okay, so these are just kind of the nuts and bolts of how you're going to do dialogue, how you're going to do conversation. And then I just want to remind you, conversation should be purposeful. It's not just filler. It should tell us something about the people that are speaking. I am assuming that from everything you've learned prior to 8th grade, you know how to punctuate in quotation marks, right? If you're not sure, then ask me when you're working individually. Okay, so we've got this little narrative. Let's read this as an example. Maddie, could you read that?
Okay. Why don't you do what you came for? Inquired Zeus as he locked eyes with Apollo. Apollo calmly took his time responding. I have my own timetable. Well, Zeus nervously responded. I have better things to do with my time than wait for you to take your revenge. He turned to leave the room, determined to stay in control of his fear. Without a word, Apollo took up his sword and blocked Zeus's way of escape.
Okay, so what does this conversation tell us about Zeus? Christian, what's one thing that you learn about Zeus from this conversation? He's nervous, okay? And then what is one thing, Jacob, that you learn about Apollo?
He doesn't really like Zeus.
He's what?
He is like coffee, kind of.
He's talking. What?
Coffee.
Confident.
Confident.
Okay, he's confident. He's calm. He's composed. So this is a good example of quality dialogue where there is the plot is being advanced and it's also giving you insight into the character. Now, you're indenting every time the speaker changes, but what about on line 3 when you have some narrative after the speaker? So Zeus responds, and then he turned to leave the room, determined to stay in control of his fear.
Oh, so the next line you would indicate
Yeah.
you don't have dialogue in that line.
Yes.
Because it's
If the narrative continues what that quotation was about,
Then you just
keep it in there, okay? If not, if it was like Hera suddenly appeared in the doorway, then you would start a new line. Lucy.
What if it's like the opposite and like the beginning of the sentence, like the beginning of the paragraph is like, oh,
Miss Cole is stepping out.
Okay. Okay, just leave your, yeah. So, you guys, hey, what did she tell you? What did she tell you to do? Okay, I'm here. Don't scream, don't be loud. Call me if you need me. Okay, so what if you've got narrative and then somebody speaks, right? Who was asking me?
no,
Lucy.
me. So like, what if you have like a line before it that's like talking about like the situation, and then you say Zeus said, and then would you go? Would that be like on the same line?
Still indent.
Okay.
Still indent.
Still indent?
Yes.
Oh,
For
yeah.
the speaking.
Yeah.
For the speaking. Belle.
So like you indent the like on like the third and fourth line down, you like stop and then
Okay, so then on the last one, the action is turning. So that third line, Zeus responds, he turns to leave the room. This is all Zeus. But then when Apollo takes up his sword, then we indent to start the narrative.
Because
Okay.
it's a new subject and a new
Yeah, the focus of the story has shifted. The
Okay.
character has shifted.
All has a sword, and he's called Theseus.
Then,
So like how Zeus said right there, like how it went off to the next thing, we wouldn't indent if someone's second speech line like in one. Like if I said long sentence,
okay, Belle, talk really loud.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Like, you know how Zeus said I have better things to do in my time than wait for you, like how it goes to the next line. Is that when we wouldn't indent anymore?
Because it's still talking about Zeus, because his action is continuing, you're not indenting. When the focus shifts to Apollo, indent. Now, I've had a lot of questions about how do you know when to start a new paragraph in a short story? What do you guys think?
I think when they're talking, when something new happens.
Okay, hold on. Olivia really nailed it. It's very subjective. Basically, if you have a change in action, if you try to leave somebody in suspense, make that the end of a paragraph, and then start again. If you change the time, or the focus, or the action, here's what I don't want you to do. Don't write an entire story without any indentations. I just read a story like that was written by a professional. I was like, why would a professional do this? It's so hard on the eyes to read a story without any indentation.
It makes it seem so long.
It makes it seem really long. So listen, it's up to you. I'm not going to take points off because of how you indent, but make sure you have some indentation. Okay, other questions? Is there anybody in here that's not using dialogue? Okay, and that's okay. That's okay. So this should go in the MLA portion of your notebook.
What if you're only using a little bit? If it's like,
That's
maybe
okay.
like one or
A
two.
little bit's good.
But can you use like one line for dialogue and like the rest of the sentence have like none?
Yeah, that's what I have. I have like one character talks, but the rest of it is like the narrative.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay, Caroline. Guys, listen. Caroline just asked a great question. Do I want you to finish this tonight? Yes. It would be really good to have your story done so that you can work on editing. Because if you look at this rubric, hold on, I'm still talking, Olivia. I still have this to go over. Okay. Was that you? Such a loud noise from you. Okay. Yes, rest your feet. Okay. If you look at this, structure is how you develop your story. But there's a lot of style and mechanics. And as people have been sharing things with me, I'm seeing tons of run-on and incomplete sentences that I would really like for you to have a chance to work on it. So yes, it would be great to be finished by tonight. That will help the next couple days really benefit you in revising your story. But I'm not checking it off tomorrow. It's up to you. Okay. Literary devices for Latin myths. What? Did you not get this?
No. Do you want me to pass it out?
Yes, thank you. Okay, so, but I'm going to start talking because you guys have learned, that's going, no, that's going to go under writing and your dialogue should go under MLA. Okay, hold on. Let me quiet them.
I forgot yesterday.
Okay.
Everyone's here except for Charlie and Josh.
Josh is here.
No, just come back tomorrow.
What's she doing? I'm not even quarantining.
Oh, yeah.
You might not. That's mine. Lots of easy to come to.
I think someone really wanted to say on
Thanks. Old Navy.
So it's just Joshua.
And Charlie.
Did your mom play Wizard of Oz whenever you were in?
Samuel Charles.
No, you were so you were not. That's
actual name.
That's Charles.
Hey!
Oh, yeah.
She's passing out hand sanitizer for the computer so we can just get right on to it.
She's a Bob Ross, so
I thank you for your leadership, Olivia. So, on style, guys, you guys are very expressive in how you're cleaning your hands, boys. Okay. You are going to have to use 5 literary devices. This should not be a problem. Off the top of your head, you should be able to name simile, metaphor, alliteration, personification,
Oh, we have a whole sheet of those.
onomatopoeia. Here's
on here.
Here's a whole, I didn't put them all on here. I just picked some that I think go well for a Greek myth. And you need to label them. So hear me. You cannot have 5 alliterations and expect 25 points. 1 alliteration, and then you can pick, but you're going to label it. Yes?
Do you have to have all these?
5 of them.
5. It's on the rubric. Just 5. You get to pick. I would like to highlight a couple of these that we haven't talked about that probably Mr. Willoughby has. Allusion. This should be in 90% of your papers. Allusion is when you refer to a person or a place or an artistic work that is well known. Like if I said, if I said it rained so hard the earth flooded, what am I alluding to?
Noah's Ark.
Noah's Ark. And if I said he is so strong he could hold the world on his shoulders, what am I alluding to? What? Hercules or Atlas. Okay? So there are things that we know. If I say to be or not to be, that is the question. Shakespeare.
A poem.
So if
Do we have to, if we use illusion, do we have to say what we reference to?
okay, so you guys, an illusion is beautiful in its subtlety. You don't need to tell me what you're alluding to. But here's what I want to say. If you have a Greek character in your story, that's not an illusion. But if you refer to a story, like Ares had already started a war among the Trojans, that's an illusion. Okay? Athena had sprung from her father's head. Oh yeah, that is an illusion. So if there's some specific Greek story that you refer to, that's illusion. Val. No, it can be pop culture too. Okay, assonance. This is just repetition of vowel sounds. It's kind of like alliteration, but alliteration is a consonant at the beginning of consecutive words. These are vowel sounds. Okay, anaphora. Did you just recently have this?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so repeating the same word or group of words. Have you guys heard this? They came, they saw, they conquered.
Yeah.
Okay, hold it, you guys. We have chatter over there necessarily. Raise your hand. What is that from?
Julius Caesar. Yes.
Julius Caesar. So that would be an illusion.
And
That would also be an
anaphora.
anaphora.
Would that count as 2?
That would also be 3 very short sentences. So that would be 3 literary devices in 3 sentences. Okay?
Wait, very short sentences in a literary device.
No. 2 literary devices and a sentence structure. Campbell.
Okay, would this be an anaphora? Also, he left the dead, he left his house, he left his life.
Yes.
Whoa, that's
Yes.
good.
That's awesome. It's very dramatic and it's very effective. You can do it without talking. Foreshadowing, hinting at what's to come. Hyperbole. You guys know this when you exaggerate. If you say, I was so hungry I could eat a horse.
Oh, yeah.
Or I stood in line for over 100 years. Okay, those are exaggerations. Imagery. Imagery should be easy for you guys. It's just using really strong adjectives that paint a picture. Okay, metaphor you know. Onomatopoeia you know. Personification you know. Simile, oxymoron. So an oxymoron is when you have 2 words that are opposite of one another. So jumbo shrimp, awfully nice, organized chaos. And then symbolism. everybody should be able to do symbolism. You have something in nature, you have an event, and it's a symbol of something. So you have a storm clouds building on the horizon as Apollo steps into the boxing ring with his brother. The storm clouds could symbolize a fight, symbolize conflict.
If it was raining, you could be like, they were all so sad.
Yeah. Okay, but you wouldn't use sad because that's a banned word, right?
They were all upset.
Distraught.
Upset.
Yeah, distraught. I love that.
Distraught. I am broken.
Hey, speaking of banned words, one of the editing things to let you know is get rid of banned words. If a banned word serves a purpose, like on my dialogue sheet, it says, why don't you do what you came to do? Well, came is a banned word. But there's nothing that can, hold on, there's nothing that can really replace that without sounding awkward. Why don't you do what you approached to do? What you arrived at? It doesn't make sense. Maybe showed up. So what I'm looking for is that you don't use a banned word unless it's absolutely necessary, that it serves a purpose. You can put that down on the desk, that's fine. So this is a neat little trick. When you go into your document, you can do Control F. It will pull up a little box. You could put a banned word in there, and it will highlight every case of it in your story. Okay, so that is a nice way that you can start pulling out banned words. Okay, you guys can get. You've already done your hand things, Olivia. Grab that.
Can I pause it?
Start working.